The Dachshund bark. If you've got one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That sharp, surprisingly loud bark that seems to come out of nowhere. It can be a lot. But it's not random, I promise. Today, we're going to dive into why your little sausage dog is so incredibly vocal, and, most importantly, how we can bring a little more peace and quiet back into our lives. So first, let's just set the scene. I have a feeling this is going to sound, well, a little too familiar for a lot of you out there. It's like every dachshund is running their own personal and very loud neighborhood security system.
All right, picture this. The mailman is just doing his job, walking by the house, a totally normal, everyday thing.
But to your dog, oh no, that's a code red. A furry little alarm bell goes off to alert everyone that the perimeter has officially been breached by mail.
A bit later, things have calmed down. Then, a single leaf blows across the lawn. The horror.
And there it is again, because that leaf is clearly a threat to national security and must be barked at until it understands who's boss. The vigilance is something else, isn't it?
And then, my personal favorite. A sound you barely even heard. A car door closing, maybe 2-3 houses down the street.
But your dachshund is already at the window sounding the alarm. It's kind of funny, but it's also really frustrating. So what is going on here? Why are they wired to bark at literally everything?
Well, here's the thing. They are not trying to be annoying. The real reason is written deep inside their DNA. To really get why they bark, we have to travel back in time and look at what these dogs were originally bred to do.
The biggest clue is actually right there in their name. Dachshund literally means badger dog in German. Yep, these little guys weren't designed to be cute lapdogs. They were bred to be fearless underground hunters that would go head-to-head with a badger in a dark, tight tunnel. Now think about that job. It had two really critical parts. First, you had to be fearless enough to dive into a dark hole after a pretty tough animal. And second, and this is the key part for us, you needed a huge, booming bark. Why? So the hunters up on the surface knew where you were. That bark was basically their underground GPS. So when your dachshund loses its mind over the delivery guy, it's not trying to drive you crazy. It's just listening to centuries of instinct. In their head, they're just doing their job, alerting you, their hunter, that something is happening. Okay, so it's genetic. Does that mean we're stuck with it? Absolutely not. And this is where we get to the biggest mistake that most of us make totally by accident. We actually end up encouraging the one thing we want to stop. Just think about this little cycle from your dog's perspective. A trigger happens, so they bark. They're letting their hunter know what's up. And what do? We react. We yell quiet or we run to the window. To us, we're scolding them. But to them, jackpot, they got exactly what they wanted, your immediate, undivided attention. So the lesson they learn is pretty simple. Barking works. So if reacting to the bark is actually the problem, what's the solution? We have to completely flip the script. The whole goal is to teach them that the opposite of barking, being calm and quiet, is what really gets them the attention and rewards they're looking for. So it really all boils down to this. The old way is that emotional reactive cycle we just talked about. The new way is proactive and calm. You're making a fundamental shift away from punishing the noise and toward rewarding the silence. So how do you do this? The technique is actually really simple. The next time the barking starts, don't yell. Just calmly call your dog's name, try to get them to turn away from the window and look at you. The moment they stop barking, even for just a split second, and focus on you, that's when you reward them with praise or a little treat. Now, I have to say, this is the single most important part of the whole process. You cannot do this once or twice and expect a miracle. Everyone in the house has to be on board doing the exact same calm redirection every single time. Consistency is what will actually rewire their brain to understand the new rules. And you've got to remember who you're working with here. Dachshunds are incredibly smart dogs. They can absolutely learn this. But that same intelligence comes with a world-class stubborn streak. Your job is to simply be more patient and more persistent than they are stubborn. And hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the barking and that famous stubbornness, please know that you are in very, very good company. This is one of the most common challenges for Doxie owners everywhere. It's part of the package, but it's a part you can definitely manage with the right game plan. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Instead of waiting around for the next barking frenzy to react to, start looking for the small moments of peace. that little split second of silence between barks. What quiet moment will you decide to reward today? Because that's where the real training and the real change actually begins.